Welcome back, ladies and gentle ladies. This is Monday's episode, which means it's kind of our chance to dig around, find some fun news stories for you guys, maybe have an interview here or there, help educate and entertain you guys in some way, shape, or form, right? A lot of our Thursdays episodes are just the shit that Jimmy and I get ourselves into. Mondays, we want you guys to walk away hopefully learning something. And if you just learned that Jimmy and I are idiots, that's cool too. That works.
If it took you 736 episodes though to figure that out,
yeah,
maybe you can come be on our team.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I got no argument against that. Rebuttal. Anyways, all right. So today, we talked about when this all started happening. I think at the beginning of the administration here, it opened up a lot of doors to be able to make some changes to the way OHV recreation rules and regulations work. And we got to sit down and talk to Ben at Blue Ribbon Coalition early on in the current administration's time. And he was like, there's some really big things happening right now. And he explained a couple of things like Chevron deference.
Yep.
I don't know if we ever sat down and talked with him about Roadless Rule.
I don't think so.
But there was Chevron deference and a couple other big topics right around that time we sat down with him. And I was like, wow, there's going to be a lot of things moving
Yes.
in the OHV public lands access realm over the next 1 to 5 years, 6, 7 years, maybe even. So yes, thank you. I didn't catch that. So anyways,
it's weird how often you use 6, 7 as
I don't
as
notice
a description.
Yeah. I don't know.
I've caught myself now stopping using it because anytime I say it, the mini assistant will laugh at me or go, ha ha, or do the hand signal.
Uh-huh.
But it's weird how it's a common phrase that our generation uses all the time.
Yeah.
Where the generations below us don't say it because of this meme that came out.
Yeah.
But funny story, little story, slightly longer.
Mm-hmm.
The young generation doesn't give a crap about 6'9".
Oh, okay.
And all of our generations goes, he.
It's true.
So
do you think the younger generation just isn't old enough to understand what 6'9" is?
No, it's not a thing anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the assistant
will tell
that's
always a thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The assistant will say, turn to page 6'9" or whatever. And kids will be like, flip. But she goes, oh, turn to page 6'7". They go, ha ha, you do the hand signals and all that stupid shit.
Okay.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, Jimmy's sitting in the back of the class and the only one going, when it says flip to page 6'9".
Yeah. Pretty much.
Me too. I'm with you.
I get on my hands.
Okay. Anyways, a lot of stuff has been happening. So where are we here?
Over the past 6-7 years.
6 to 7 years. The next 6-7 years, I think are going to be very enlightening, but a lot of stuff has started rolling. And we've covered a lot of these topics. A lot of these topics are kind of updates on what's been going on. But we want to update you guys anyways, because we've been talking about them. We've been kind of covering them, and there's a couple new ones as well. So let's see. The first,
apparently we have some updates to things that we've already discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And then because things are changing and always moving.
Yes.
And then there's also some new items coming out that we wanted to inform everybody about.
Yes. So the first one, since we already mentioned it once, kind of in passing by, is Roadless Rule.
Yes, this one's really interesting.
This one's fascinating to me. Roadless Rule there was a rule implemented about the time. That was minimization criteria. Roadless Rule was a rule that was implemented that stated we need to minimize how many roads are throughout public lands.
Right.
And
more new roads can be created.
Yep. No more new roads can be created. And thus, because of that, as roads shut down, obviously no new ones can be created. So we have no option moving forward but to decrease the amount of roads we have and OHV routes we have, right?
Yep.
So, roads are an interesting infrastructure to forests. In order to, we've reached, and this is, I think, the biggest impact of roads to forests and forest land, BLM land, is that they're ingress, right? They're ingress routes. It's a way to maneuver and get through a forest, a BLM land, whatever it is, quickly, efficiently, and safely.
Yes.
A side impact of roads that we've kind of discovered, especially here in California through a lot of the wildfire history we have in California, is that roads act as very natural barriers for wildfires. They do a massive amount to slow down wildfires. And sometimes, a lot of times, they end up being one of the sides or borders of a fire. It doesn't extend beyond that.
Right. Well, and it's a way for the firefighters to get into the land that they need to be fighting the fires. And therefore that's why it becomes a border.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's for sure. And that's ingress, right? And during the Caldor fires, when it really was kind of opening to me, because I was kind of involved with emergency communications, helping run people around to check on pets and livestock in the burn areas, right? The Caldor fire was a big eye opener because it used a couple of very popular OHV routes up here in the Sierras.
Yes.
In order for fire crews, hotshot crews, ground crews, dozers to go and attempt to hold lines, fire lines, and use those routes as ingress for safe routes in and out of fire areas.
Correct.
Quick, efficient, safe routes in and out of fire areas. Ultimately, the routes were not able to hold, and a lot of what held the fire back was Highway 50. The highway, right? Granted, Highway 50 is a fairly small highway up in that area. True. It's only a 2-lane thing with a very steep canyon wall on one side of it. And eventually they were able to hold that there for a few days before the fire finally crossed and shot up the canyon wall and headed up towards Wrights Lake, Dark Lake, and Barrett Lake areas, right? So anyways, the roads have become a very important piece of firefighting tools. Firefighting tools.
Is that what you said?
I think that's what I said. Firefighting tools.
It's a Freudian slip.
It is totally. And so anyways, these roads have become important tools for firefighters, right? And what's happening is by having the roadless rule, they're finding that there's not as many quick, efficient ingress routes into forest and BLM lands in order to fight these nasty, kind of bigger, huge, destructive fires that have been happening lately, because we have essentially left land alone, and we have gotten really good at fighting fires.
Right.
But Mother Nature doesn't really give a shit.
No.
And so fires we've been finding over the past 5 to 10 years that fires are a very natural, very healthy thing for nature. There's a lot of trees that pine cones never even open up to drop their seeds unless they go through a fire.
Correct.
Right.
Sequoias.
So it's a very important part of nature is fire and fire cleansing. Right. And we've gotten so good at fighting fires that we haven't had a good tools and done a good job at cleaning up the fuels. And so now we have so much fuel built up that when a fire comes through, we're not getting these tiny little forest fires anymore that are super manageable. We're getting these massive mega fires that are not manageable. They're not stoppable. They do a ton of destruction. The destruction they do gets so hot that it just kills everything. It's not a cleansing process.
Right.
It kills everything. And so there's kind of two things going on with this topic of fighting fires on public lands. One is we as a society have voted and implemented a lot of legislation to make sure that we are not allowed to touch public lands and manage them, right? We have to keep them wild. We have to keep them as wilderness areas. We have to keep them as roadless areas. People are not allowed in there. You can hike in there, but really, once you get beyond 5-10 miles, are you really hiking in there? Is anybody really hiking in there? I'm sure there are some people out there that are going to be more than happy to go hike 10 miles into their favorite waterfall kind of thing, but you're getting pretty to a small part of the society in order to do that. So, and in the process, in the concept of like Bears Ears National Monument, you've got a size you've got a national monument the size of half of Connecticut. Are you going to go hiking halfway across Connecticut to get to a waterfall? I don't think so. But anyways, we have deemed it as a very positive thing to leave lands alone, but still prevent fire on them.
Right.
And because we've been doing this for so long, we've gotten really good at fighting fires. We're now getting these massively destructive mega fires.
Yeah. And that's because we've been so good at preventing fires.
Yes. Yep.
And we've been so good at leaving our lands as wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
And so like if a tree falls, you just leave it there.
Yep.
It's not maintained. It's not cleaned up. It's not, I don't know. It's not considered trash and taken out of the forest.
Yep.
Because the argument is that if a tree fell, it's supposed to fall and it's supposed to decay, and the decay gives energy and life to everything around it, right?
Which there is some fact to that.
Providing nutrients into the ground with, the bio change, and it's there's termites and bugs and everything that eat the wood that's dying, and it's another level of sustain of life.
Yes,
but on the flip side,
you also have fires that typically come through naturally to eat up the easily eatable fuel. And the fires stay small. They stay relatively contained. It's still a fire. You're going to have some sort of destruction. But these fires that used to come through, they would burn up all the minor fuels.
The low-hanging fruit. And then the stuff that is robust. What's the word I'm thinking of? Old growth stuff that is solidified in the environment. I don't know what the right word would be. They're just fine. They've evolved to, once they reach a certain amount of growth and life, they evolve to live with fires and evolve with fires. And the fires clean up all the small stuff that really doesn't need to be around. You are getting some decay, some food out of it, some nutritional value for the food chain that lives in that environment. But if you don't have small fires coming through to clean it all up, then the stuff just builds up more and more and more until finally a destructive fire comes through, right,
and just wipes out everything.
Yeah. The giant sequoias are a good example of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the first branch of the giant sequoia probably is like 100 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
And then everything below that branch is just trunk.
Mm-hmm.
The bark of a giant sequoia is 18 inches thick at max.
Wow.
So you have to burn through all that bark before you get to the cambium layer, which is the layer right underneath the bark, but before the deadwood of the center of the tree. The very fine layer, it's like our skin, right?
Yeah.
There's a skin layer underneath the bark.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's more or less keeping the tree alive.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's moving the nutrients up and down.
Mm-hmm.
But a fire back in the day never would get to the top, never would get to any of the branches.
Yeah, it wouldn't get to the branches.
Sequoia.
It wouldn't be able to get through the trunk.
It won't be able to get through the trunk. It would just roll through. It'd burn the grass. It'd burn some fallen trees. It'd get a few, 10 feet tall fire or whatever it is, but it wouldn't hurt these sequoias. Like the bark would get burnt.
Mm-hmm.
It'd get charred. None of the branches would get burnt, but the fires were also not hot enough.
Yep.
They didn't last around very long, but they were the perfect temperature to germinate and cause the pine cone of a giant sequoia to open and release its seeds.
Yeah.
Like the giant sequoia
is evolved to use fire. Yes, it's pretty cool.
to open the cones and germinate in the ground. And you get ash and nutrients, and I mean,
lots of nitrogen comes out after fire. Yep,
is all in the ground, and things just want to grow again.
Yep. Yeah. So small fires that kind of rip through and eat up fuels are a good, very healthy thing. That's kind of what we've been learning through the wildfire process in California over the past decade. But unfortunately, we've gotten to mismanaging due to ignorance and uneducation of how these kind of things work. We've gotten to a point where we have massive fires now. So we can't just let, I think a lot of like the other side is like, yeah, fire happens naturally. We just need to let it happen naturally, which yes, that would be a great thing if we hadn't been so good over the last 100 years at stopping them to begin with. And now that we've spent all this time stopping them, we've got really good at stopping small fires from happening over the past 100 years. We're now at a point where if a fire lights up in a wilderness area or BLM lands or someplace that has, it's been limited to human interaction with wild nature. We just get these massive destructive fires and it just destroys the entire area. And it's very difficult for nature to recuperate after those fires.
Yeah.
So anyways, roads we've found over the past few years are a very important part of fighting and managing wildfires. And so the country is in the process right now of eliminating the roadless rule, so that roads can be built back through. It's not really rebuilt. What they're going to be doing is eliminating the roadless rule. So they're going to go back through historical records of road inventories. And then the instruction supposedly is so that they have to go back through the local offices, the ranger districts, the BLM offices. They have to go back through their old historical inventories and then figure out which roads would be good to be opened in order to have a better success at managing and fighting fires and help managing and maintain properly forests.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so they're not going to be adding new roads per se. They're not going to be going through and bulldozing a bunch of places in order to add new roads, supposedly, quote unquote. At least not yet, right? That's always the caveat is, well, it's not yet. So yeah, we have to go off with the information we have now. They're going to be looking at old roads that have been closed and reopening them rather than adding new stuff.
You were saying this and I'm like, so we can open the original Rubicon Trail.
I mean, in theory,
the original Rubicon Road.
In theory, if it makes sense for ingress access to help manage the granite or something out there, whatever it is.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. So that's kind of the goal, right? So they've been working on this. Blue Ribbon has been working towards this for quite a while, lobbying a lot. And it's finally getting to the point where it's open for public comment.
Yes, it is.
So the BLM and the Forest Service, the federal agencies have now opened up public comment for Roadless Rule. So do some research on Roadless Rule and look at whether or not you agree with it and then write in. I think that's the great thing about public lands is that we, the people, get a chance to have a say in what happens to our public lands. It's like voting, right? It's like voting for our legislatures, voting for people who represent us. That's the great thing about public comment and public lands. And when we don't get that opportunity, it's a very bad thing, in my opinion. So consolidation of power is not a good thing in our experiences with governments around the world. So Roadless Rule is up for public comment right now, which is pretty freaking cool that it got to this point. So write in and figure out whatever research you want. I know Blue Ribbon Coalition has a great tool up on their website under I think they're called action areas, to say where your zip code is and it'll pull up all your legislatures. And then you can draft an email and it will send letters to all the legislatures for your zip code.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting to somehow get a map of the past and say, there used to be a road that went from A to B.
Yep.
And I've always wanted to do that road.
Yep.
And I think it'd be a great road to drive. It'd be beautiful scenery, but it would also be a great way to prevent fires and allow access for firefighters.
Yep.
But
Another big push right now is ADA.
Yeah.
Outdoor ADA.
Yes.
And this was something I wanted to talk about one of my previous Rubicon trips, but I forgot to mention it. I've ran into another guy who's paraplegic.
Oh, right.
It seems like, I don't know, it seems to be getting more and more common that I'm out on the Rubicon Trail and I keep running into people who, without a vehicle, there's no way in hell they're going to be out there.
No, not at all.
There's no way they're going to be out there experiencing the Rubicon Trail, experiencing the Sierra Nevadas. So I think that by locking up roads, deleting roads, getting rid of them, creating wilderness areas, creating national monuments that then update travel management plans to get rid of thousands of miles of roads. I don't think it's a good thing. And I think that we're alienating a whole nother sector of our society by doing that too. So that's something else you can mention when you're writing about your roadless rule to your legislatures.
Right. Especially if you're ADA.
Yes.
And there's somewhere that you want to visit.
Yep.
And there could be a road there now.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a very good reason. So I'm sure there's a whole thing on Blue Ribbon Coalition, I'm pretty sure, about roadless rules. And you can draft your emails there and put in your zip code, and it'll send it out to your legislator and your district and where you live. So it's an easy way to do it. A benefit about doing all that on Blue Ribbon Coalition is that then they track it. They know that you have done this. They know how many submissions are going in, and they have a little bit more fighting power because it's all sort of centralized through their system that then they can say, like, look, there's X amount of people in California or this many people in Arizona or whatever. And they can push a little bit more because they have the firepower because we all went through their system. Yep.
That's a very, very good point. So go check that out over at Blue Ribbon's website, which is blueribbon.org. Next fun topic.
Ready.
Which we talked about, it was either last week or the week before. Big Bend National Park up in Texas or down in Texas, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Over in Texas.
The wall.
Yeah. So the quote unquote wall border project that's being built in Texas right now. The total quote for all the different sections that are being put together is well over $7 billion right now. And it's just, we talked about my concerns about it. It just seems like it's not a high traffic place, not a high traffic area, especially the section that's really being kind of bulldozed and worked on right now. They're putting in a road right next to an existing road.
Oh, really?
Which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It seems off. Something does not seem right about all this.
Okay.
And when you dig a little deeper, you find that these contracts, these construction companies were no bid contracts, similar to the reflecting pool, similar to a couple of the other things that have been done with contracts. I think the ballroom had a no bid contract too. Anyways, there's these no bid contracts going out. And it seems like a lot of the work they're doing, like we could find a lot better places if you want to work on border and immigration policies, immigration issues where illegal immigrants are coming across our border. And that's a big deal to you. You should be up in arms and being like, we should be spending the $7 billion elsewhere. That makes a way more sense to be spending it. Right. These corridors that are these, I want to say it's 5 sections that's being worked on around Big Bend National Park right now. They are the lowest point of entry for illegal immigrants, like the lowest volume. They're every other corridor along the Texas and southern borders.
They are the biggest threat.
They are the biggest threat, though. Yep. So, anyways, it kind of goes back to, I think last Thursday I was talking about low hanging fruit, right? What do let's take the $7 billion and put it towards something that is going to have a much bigger impact and bigger fix towards immigration issues, right?
Yeah.
If that's important thing for you.
And we were talking Tomahawk missiles too.
Tomahawk missiles, yeah. Right? Put some $7 billion towards Tomahawk missiles or drones. Go order up a bunch of the what is that? Those Iranian drones? I don't think we can order them right now, but we can, we can order up a bunch of, there's like $10,000 a piece. How many can we get with $7 billion? Have those patrol the fucking border.
Well, you shoot a few tomahawks at the people coming across the border. They're not going to cross the border very much anyway after that.
Oh, geez, Jimmy.
It solved the problem.
It solved the problem.
How much is a tomahawk then?
Oh, that's a good question.
$1 billion?
I don't know.
We get 7.
They're expensive. That's why we're having issues right now. So anyways, it's that whole situation and the cutting into Big Bend National Park. The big issue, one of the bigger issues, other than the no bid contracts, and just seems like there's a lot of money getting thrown at something that isn't really worth working on right now, at least in that location.
Sure.
I'll give that. But then also all of the public lands protections. So NEPA evaluations, public comment periods, any kind of scientific study on how the environment is going to get impacted, the Endangered Species Act, all of that got completely bypassed.
Weird.
The administration said, yeah, we don't need any of that. Go ahead, not. DHS. You can go bulldoze whatever the fuck you want out there.
Right.
And so again, this
I'm
comes
building
back
a house, but nobody's going to inspect it.
Yeah, right. Again, this just comes down to public lands. I personally think that the public should have a say in what happens to public lands, right? And if the public deems it necessary that we are going to set lands aside for conservation, I won't be happy with it, but I will accept it for now. That was all bypassed. Public has no say in what happens, what happened, and what was happening at Big Bend National Park.
Yeah.
So all those safety precautions were bypassed, which is one of the big concerns I had, and I spoke about when we first started talking about Bears Ears and Grand Escalante Staircase.
Yeah. Because there's the concern of this happening again. If
the restrictions get stripped away, then, it's easier to just bypass everything and be like, nah, fuck it. We can put in a massive data center or a huge ass mining claim here or something like that. And I want to make sure that OHV is protected and we still have the protections against, for the other stuff that wants to happen. And anything that wants to happen on public lands needs to go through a specific process to make sure the public is okay with it. I think.
I 100% agree. I think if it's public land, it should continuously be public land. It should not be taken up by a building or taken up by a mining claim or taken up by, limited access for one type of type of outdoor recreation.
Yeah.
Right. It should be as equal as possible for everything that's out there.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know the Bears Ears and Grand Escalante area very well, but it's like there probably isn't a lot of whitewater rafting out there, right? Well, that just happens to do with the environment it's in, but there are plenty of roads. There's plenty of hang gliding areas. There's plenty of rock crawling and climbing.
Yeah, climbing got decimated with the travel management plan, man. Yeah. We talked about that.
And lots of hiking. And so it's like, if it's available to that group, keep it available to that group.
Mm-hmm. Probably not too much snowmobiling out there. I don't know. It could be.
Maybe.
So anyways, good news.
Yes.
Due to all the pressure that the public has been putting on, DHS and the CBD have halted and put a pause to all construction at Big Bend National Park, which is the first kind of section they were working on of these 5 sections.
Nice.
So it's kind of on a halt to undergo reviews now. And I'm like, cool. Let's be hopeful that the pressure and the public can continue putting pressure on them to make sure that the correct things are followed, the correct process are followed, so that there's not just this consolidation of power.
Right.
Like if we go through all the processes and we still deem that these 5 sections are worthy of going after right now and doing and having up and operational, then by all means go for it. But I think the processes need to be followed. The process is an important part of it to show that it's actually worth doing.
Agreed.
Rather than somebody just being like, yeah, I feel like giving my buddy who owns this construction company over here $2 billion. So go build a road next to another road in the middle of a canyon.
And a wall.
And a wall. So anyways, that's the Big Bend update is that it's all on a hold at the moment
Okay.
to undergo some reviews.
Cool.
So,
And good.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yep.
I mean, there's an order and a process that you have to go to do things on public lands, and it should be the same for everything,
Mhm.
for everyone to
Mhm.
some extent, right? Just because government says go for it, doesn't mean you should be able to cut the line.
yeah. Yeah.
You should still have to follow all the rules and go through all the protocols that a random person would have to do.
Yeah. I agree.
So
No special treatment. Treat everybody the same.
there's a lady I've been watching on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That is an attorney of some sort.
Okay.
And she talks about going out, like doing outdoor attorney things. As in, like, if I rented an Airbnb and it comes with 15 acres of land, am I allowed to drive anywhere on the land?
Okay.
Right. And she talks about it.
Mhm.
One of the things that she talked about was taking rocks from public land.
Okay.
And apparently it's like a federal offense.
It's considered mining.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Like, even as a recreational, you're like, oh, that's a really cool rock. I'm just going to go put it up and put it in my shelf out back at home. You take one rock that fits in the palm of your hand and it's illegal. It's considered mining.
I know somebody that takes a rock every single wheeling trip they go on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, like it doesn't matter to me so much.
Yeah.
My thing is, I'm one of those, like, if every person did this, if everybody on the Rubicon that went through the Rubicon every single time took a rock home with them,
Yep. We'd have a problem.
we'd have a problem.
Yeah.
'Cause there's a lot of people out there
Yep.
on the Rubicon. Granted, some other trails probably doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
But that's where I fall. It's like, if for years and years and years, for as long as the Rubicon's been around, if one person every single time did that,
Mm-hmm.
we would have a dusty, dirty fire road.
Yeah. Right.
That's my only gripe but I did not know it was like a federal offense.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I saw this video.
Yep. Yeah. I think pine cones fall into that same category too.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's considered natural resource collection.
Yeah.
Gathering, natural resource gathering kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know trees are, because you know me, I'm a bonsai guy. And
You've mentioned it multiple times. We've been on wheeling trips. You're like, I
Look at
want to take that tree.
Look at that tree.
I want to go take that one, but I
Look
can't.
at that tree. I know. And I have never done it. And I've even, I've thought about, I'm on private property
Mm-hmm.
at Spider Lake. I could probably go and ask them
Mm-hmm.
if I can dig up one of these trees.
Yeah.
But I've still I haven't done that. Never taken a tree off the Rubicon. I've never taken a tree out of the wilderness, period.
Yeah.
Or maybe when I went Christmas tree on private property.
I guess, Christmas tree permit, something.
Yeah. But no, not a permit. We'd go to private land.
Okay.
On a Christmas tree farm, private land
Gotcha.
thing. But I've never done it. But I am going to try and find the legal way to do it.
Okay.
So that, and there it's out there. There's ways that you can do it. And as long as you have reason.
Yeah.
Right. And my reason's like, look, I collect bonsais and I care for the trees.
Yeah.
Like, that's my reason, and we'll see if they accept it or not. And if they don't, I'm just gonna be like, okay, it's not in my cards. But so we'll one day I'll be out on the Rubicon and I'll wander off into public land.
That would be, I'm not going to lie.
Come home with a tree.
I am not into bonsais whatsoever, but it would be pretty fucking cool if you could find a way to take some of the remaining juniper off Little Sluice.
That would be.
And have a little mini juniper bonsai at home from the juniper tree. I don't know if that works that way, but yeah.
I mean, it probably somehow could work that way, but I wouldn't take that tree.
Yeah.
But I would, because I would, this is off topic. I'd get a smaller tree.
Okay. Yeah.
But
all right. Cool. So next topic.
Okay. Moving on.
Next one is the California has been working on, and we talked with Mike McGarity from Corva.
Yes.
About an OHV permit.
Yeah, right.
OHV registration, permit, license, whatever it ends up being, right? And there's a big coalition of OHV enthusiasts, vested interests, as well as some manufacturers, vendors, and users, and different user groups are all represented. It was a big coalition, right? It's called the coalition. They came up with, they went through this for like a year and a half, talking about different ways to build up this permit process, the system, how it was going to work, what was the purpose of it, who are they going to target, who are they going to have do it, what were the repercussions of it, etc. And they came to a big agreement, which we talked a little bit with Mike McGarity when he was on with Corva.
And a lot of it came down to just education.
It was a lot of trail etiquette education. That's really, and safety, right?
Safety, fire safety, right? Trail etiquette, safety, understanding just off-roading and UTVs and all kinds of safety of that. You know, it's like a boat license, right? You got a little license, a pointless license to anybody that doesn't own a boat to just teach you how to drive around a lake, you know, in a safe manner and what to do when you're coming close to another boat, or what does it mean when the flag's up, or any of those things.
Or a campfire permit.
Exactly.
Stupid little permit, takes 5 minutes, but it's just explaining the safety and the ideals behind just having a bucket of water, a fire extinguisher there, and a shovel, right? How do you tell when a fire is actually out in your fire pit?
Speaking of campfires. I was hanging out with Dustin.
Which Dustin?
From
El Dorado Dustin?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I was hanging out with Dustin on Saturday night.
Okay.
Saturday night. And we were talking about Peggy.
Oh. Well, who were you pegging?
No.
Oh, Peggy. Sorry, got it. Okay. My mind was in different places here.
Come on. He's on a federal level. Don't mess his job up. No pegging. Yeah. We're just talking about Peggy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
are you going to tell me later? You can tell me.
If you remind me, I'll let you know.
I want to know. I still need to meet him in person.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. He sounds like
on the campfire permit.
Yeah.
It literally says to have that in person. You have to have the paper copy on.
Really?
Yeah.
But the interesting, because the Forest Service website said digital copy is just fine.
I agree. But on the permit, it says you have to have it in paper.
I'm going to pull up my digital copy of the permit and soon I'll figure out.
Long story short, go back and listen to whatever some snow camping wheeling 3 years ago episode.
Yeah. That's where you learned that you and Dylan can't hang out anymore.
Yeah. And we've pretty much haven't hung out since.
Right.
So anyways, what were we going with this one?
The California OHV permit. Yeah. This coalition got together, came up with something that everybody agreed on. They thought was pretty good. Gave it back to the legislative committee.
Yes.
And the legislative committee took it and did the same thing they did to Leno's Law.
What's that?
They stripped it and changed it from what the agreed upon recommendations were. And so that then went into a vote, and it was shut down. It was not voted into law at all. So they're kind of back to the drawing board now. And I think the coalition is going to just be getting back together, most likely just being like, just send through the one we gave you.
Yeah, right.
That's the one that makes sense. What are you guys doing? So anybody who was concerned about the California OHV permit, it is dead as of this moment in time.
Interesting. Okay.
And I have not heard any word of it being resurrected, but I can't imagine it won't be. So next up.
Okay. Another one.
Let's talk about some bears, shall we?
Sure. I like bears.
Bears are cool.
What kind of bears? I saw a black bear in Sequoia National Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little cute, cuddly guy. I'm sure he loves to cuddle.
Did you go up and boop him?
No.
Boop.
The assistant wouldn't let me.
No. Yeah. Loser.
I know.
All right, so let's talk about some bears here.
Okay, let's do it.
There are a group of bears in Yellowstone.
Yes, they are. Probably grizzly bears.
Probably. I think they are grizzly bears because it's an endangered species.
Okay.
And they tagged 6 of them and followed them around and did studies on them. And there was a bunch of studies there a long time ago. I forget what year it was. There were a bunch of roads and OHV routes were closed in Yellowstone because there was concern that OHV users would hit and kill bears. these endangered species, right? So
Okay.
it's part of the Endangered Species Act that got these roads shut down, the OHV routes.
Yeah. Okay.
Throughout the years, they've now had enough studies done because Yellowstone is one of the only places kind of almost in North America that you can do a really good study on grizzly bears because there's a lot
in
of
all of Canada.
In all of Canada, but yes, but there's more infrastructure and a dedicated park ranger system to literally follow these bears around to make sure they don't come in contact with all the people visiting Yellowstone.
Probably true. Yeah.
Right.
I would assume Alaska Denali Park has something similar.
Denali might. Yeah, that's a good question. But they've done all these studies and they figured out there's been all sorts of reasons why grizzly bears die in Yellowstone. They're hit by traffic on highways, highways and the actual pedestrian passenger traffic. They have to get relocated or killed because they end up over in popular people areas and they refuse to leave. Attacking people, getting into people's cars, stuff like that. They have to be relocated or killed for that. And there's a bunch of different reasons: natural death, there's incidental deaths. Guess what reason has never ever had a recorded death on grizzly bears?
I'm gonna go with the
falling off a building.
OHV group.
Ding, ding, ding. The OHV group has never had a recorded kill of a grizzly bear.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was the main reason why
we shut down
down a bunch of roads and paths and routes in Yellowstone.
Yeah. Okay.
So they started, now that they've had all these studies done and tried to figure out what are the causes of actual deaths in grizzly bears, they're finding out OHV is not an actual cause at all.
Yeah. Yet.
But if you open up all those OHV routes again, I guarantee you it's gonna be the top cause.
No,
I doubt it.
I doubt it. If it hasn't been one cause yet, it might be one cause at some point. Also, I would go with the majority. Fucking grizzly bears are big.
Yes, they are.
And we're really not traveling that fast down a road.
Not an OHV
road.
Yeah.
I mean, if
highways, different story.
If we're booking, maybe. But if we run into a grizzly bear, we'll hurt it. I don't think we'll kill it.
No.
It might die later because like broken ribs or some shit, but it won't like die immediately.
Yeah.
And our car is going to be more messed up than probably the grizzly bear.
That would be my assumption.
Yeah.
As an OHV user, yeah. So, they found that out.
Yeah.
They've come to this conclusion now, right? Turns out,
okay,
the legal language used to shut down those OHV routes due to the Endangered Species Act and the threat, imminent threat to grizzly bears.
Yes.
Is the exact same language that has been used at Oceano Dunes, State Vehicle Recreation Area, Pismo Dunes for a snowy plover bird.
Okay.
It is the exact same language that's been used at Wemo.
Yeah.
So the Mojave, the Western Mojave with the tortoise, and 2,100 miles, over 2,000 miles of roads got shut down and routes, OHV routes got shut down because of the imminent threat to desert tortoises by OHV users. It's the exact same language that's being used right now up at the Oregon Dunes for their Western marmot.
Okay. So
in all three of those situations,
yes,
as far as I can tell, the snowy plover might be a little different, but I don't even think an actual study was done on the snowy plover either. As far as I can tell, no actual study has been done to show definitively how many snowy plovers, tortoises, or marmots are being killed by OHV users. What they're doing is they're seeing a snowy plover dead on the beach, and they're like, OHV user did it. They're seeing a tortoise dead next to a route.
Yeah.
Out in Western Mojave, and they're like, an OHV user did that. They're seeing a marmot maybe dead out in the dunes in Oregon. They're like, an OHV user did that. is there actual proof that an OHV user did that?
Nope.
Like there
Probably not.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it hard. I think there's a lot of other categories that can kill animals in nature. Granted, I'm not saying OHV users didn't kill any tortoise or snowy plover or marmot ever. However, we're finding that's the case for the grizzly bears, but I think grizzly bear is a little bit of a different scale than a marmot or a little bird. But like, I really, really would hope that we can do a scientific study and be able to come up to a definitive conclusion rather than just being like, oh my God, there's one tortoise dead near an OHV route, next to an OHV route. Therefore, the OHV user ran it over or hit it. Therefore, we need to close 2,000 miles of OHV routes due to this imminent threat to the desert tortoise.
Right.
It's I don't know. I don't think that closure is the option. I don't think closure is the answer. And the more that we close stuff down due to, I don't want to say silly excuses, but maybe potentially unfounded excuses, as we're finding out with the grizzlies, it's not good.
Correct.
It's not good. And you're alienating a whole sector of society because you think this might be happening. Let's get some studies that show it actually is happening before we file injunctions to close down 2,000 miles of the Western Mojave.
Right.
Let's get proof to show this is happening before we shut down 80% of the Pismo Dunes. I want to see actual studies and proof done and studies done from both sides, because I think that studies themselves can be biased and flawed, as we found from the particulate studies that were happening at Oceano Dunes.
Correct.
So let's do better. Let's do better at saying if we're going to shut down public land somewhere, that it's actually warranted and there's actual proof, definitive proof from both sides that this is actually happening. That's my request. So
I like it. And now it's extremely difficult to get that, especially if we're trying to prove that the snowy plover is not being killed by OHV users, and then we actually find out that that might be happening.
And that's something we got to be ready for. Absolutely.
Is that something we want to report? Is that something we want to say or show or do?
I think it's still a responsible thing that we need to find. If we find that OHV users are
the number one source for
number one source of killing snowy plovers, I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem that should be solved. I still don't think closure is the absolute solution.
Which is a solvent.
It is. Okay. Yeah, true. But I think that there's ways to coexist. We just need to figure out what they are. But we don't know how to figure out what those are if those studies aren't done to begin with.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't close the Oregon dunes just because of somebody saying one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then trying to back it up.
Yep.
One way or another.
Yeah. All I've seen so far in the Oregon dunes, and granted, I haven't super looked into it and done a ton of research, but it seems like what's been being claimed is that this Western marmot, its nesting areas are in these areas that are within the dunes. So the answer is to close up all the dunes,
right? Rather
than closing off those areas.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyways, I would like to see that the marmot is actually being killed and OHV is the number one reason for it, or at least a high enough reason that it's the low hanging fruit to help solve the problem.
Marmot's population is in decline because it can't mate because there's OHVs sitting there and watching them.
That doesn't stop me from mating. If you can prove that in a study that marmots do not like being watched while they're mating, sure. Yeah. Let's give them a home, something to go mating in.
Put some blinds up.
Yeah.
We'll tell them to turn the lights off.
Yeah. Oh man.
But
anyways, last topic for today.
Okay. You got another one.
There's another one.
Wow.
I told you there's been a lot of shit happening. And when we sat down and talked with Ben, I was like, this is going to be a very exciting and interesting time for OHV.
Okay.
And there's going to be a lot of things to solve, fix, think about, and find solutions for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on. This one is about wilderness study areas. So
Okay.
what's really neat about wilderness study areas is they're great in theory. And I'm not saying they're intentionally bad. But they need to be redesigned and rethought out.
Is that why they're a study area?
Sort of. So what happened with the wilderness studies areas is there was some act in Congress that was pushed out to BLM offices and Forest Service, federal land agencies that said, we want to know every place in this country that has the potential to be a wilderness area.
Sure.
Right. What are good candidates that fall under the definition of a wilderness area? And then all the offices had to report back with what areas in their area could be considered as wilderness area. And then Congress or whoever was going to look at that and say, okay, out of all these examples, we're going to choose these ones to actually be voted in and become a wilderness area. Wilderness areas. Anyways, we've talked a lot about wilderness areas on the show before.
Yep.
Essentially, a wilderness area is some place where you cannot have motorized or mechanized access.
Correct.
So no bikes, no mountain bikes, no motorbikes, no OHV, nothing. You're only allowed to go in there on your own 2 feet. Which
or a horse, right? You can take horses in.
You can take horses into wilderness areas?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's not
And
mechanical.
Yeah, I guess. I would argue. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Sure. I don't know the answer to that one. I will take your word for it.
I'm pretty sure horses and donkeys are all allowed in there.
That would make sense. All right. So wilderness areas and wilderness area studies are this thing, right? And then the protocol for these wilderness area studies that were going on and reported back to Congress was that they had to be maintained as wilderness area studies and kept in the tip-top condition as a wilderness area candidate. So they had to be treated, maintained, and managed as a wilderness area.
Right.
Until Congress told them yes or no.
Until proven guilty.
Yes. On whether or not they were going to change that swath of land to a wilderness area.
Okay. So we've got a lot of land tied up as possible wilderness areas that aren't technically wilderness areas, but they're being maintained as wilderness areas. And then we're just waiting for government to tell us if they're going to be a wilderness area or not.
Yep. So the fucked up thing about this is that there's no timeline for it.
So they're all wilderness areas.
Essentially, they're all wilderness areas. They don't have the official designation, but for all intents and purposes, they're all wilderness areas.
Right.
They can be reversed or they can be fully designated as wilderness areas. They're kind of in this limbo state that effectively turns them into wilderness areas without ever designating them wilderness areas.
Right.
And since there's no timeline on it, it's stuck in perpetuity.
Right.
And nobody is kind of going back and looking over these wilderness study areas anymore. So we just have all these swaths of land that nobody's paying attention to that are all being managed by the offices, the local offices, the land managers as wilderness area, but they're not actually wilderness area. And nobody's doing anything about it right now.
It seems like it's like a stepchild.
Kind of.
In
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
It's like, this is my normal job, but I also have to take care of this one, which isn't quite a wilderness area, but it's pretending to be one. And now I have to watch over both of them.
Sure, if that's the metaphor you want to use.
Maybe stepchild's not exactly it, but
redheaded stepchild. Will be okay
there you go. It's an Irish stepchild.
So that's kind of the problem of these areas, right? So another thing that Blue Ribbon Coalition is working on is going back through all the wilderness study areas that in the lands that have been locked up in a wilderness study area and
asking for a date,
asking for the courts to enforce a date as to whether or not these are going to be turned into wilderness study areas or they need to be released back to the public.
Right. Agreed.
So that's another thing that's going on right now.
Dang.
And the other side, quote unquote, is saying that we're getting rid of wilderness areas and we're deleting and getting rid of all these wilderness areas. It's like, No. I mean, all intents and purposes and effectiveness, we are, quote unquote, but they're not designated wilderness areas. Nobody came in and said these should be wilderness areas.
They're not wilderness areas.
Yes.
They're just being maintained as if they were.
Yep. They were candidates to be considered as wilderness areas that never got fully designated. And now they're just sitting in limbo.
Yeah. I'm curious.
So either designate them or don't. But if they go through the designation process, they have to go through public comment period.
Right.
And by locking them up this way, they never had to go through a public comment period to be locked up, right? So now by forcing a date on it, if Congress does want to come back and designate any of the wilderness study areas as wilderness areas, then now the public process has to happen.
I was going to say, then we can go after them for not having the comment period.
Yep.
Interesting. I wonder what designates something as wilderness. So then why can you consider something like that wilderness? And I kind of
what are the definitions that makes a wilderness study area a candidate for wilderness?
I talked about that with Dustin for a little bit.
Okay.
On Saturday about desolation wilderness, you
Okay.
know, and like, why is it a wilderness and what it is, you know, and mainly that his thing is it's like a special, unique thing in the Sierra Nevadas that you kind of don't see. Right. With these ginormous granite slabs and almost nothing living up there.
Yeah.
Except for, a marmot or two and a few straggling trees to try to break through. But more or less, there's not much up there besides a bunch of random lakes caught in all these granite slabs and a very unique thing that you don't find in the Sierras.
Okay.
And so they wanted to preserve that land.
Okay.
That's what he was saying.
So does mountain bikes damage granite? That would be my next question is then why is it a wilderness area? Why not just have different uses there and allowed while other uses that are destructive to granite not allowed?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would, playing devil's advocate on this side, I'd argue that, cars and bikes, will leave tracks and trails and unsightly things, But then on my flip argument, it was all the tire things that you see in Moab get washed away within a year of, the winter season and they aren't there anymore. And we've seen that on the Rubicon.
Yep. I was going to say, for how many cars go through the Rubicon Trail, how many rocks are there with permanent tire rubber marks on them?
None.
There's none. Even Soup Bowl does not have permanent tire rubber marks on it. So it's like, I understand your concern. Right. Your concern is not based in reality though. No. Like how do we reconcile this?
Yeah.
Anyways.
See, I think wilderness areas should be a place that you would physically do damage to by either having a road or a car or mechanical.
Yeah.
Mechanical transportation within.
Yep.
For example, and I've said this a few weeks ago.
Yep. I love your definition of this, by the way.
But a wetlands.
Yep.
Is that my definition? Is that what you were going to say?
It's just how you view national monuments versus wilderness versus national park, right?
I think I think I came up with another solution, right? I've answered the camping glamping situation, and now I've solved wilderness of national monuments and national park solutions.
Stuff, yeah.
But like a wetlands, you can't have a car there. And and there was a section in the Sequoia National Park where there was a wetlands, and they literally built a levee and built a road across it through the wetlands, and literally killed half of the wetlands.
Yeah.
And they said, we fucked up. They tore the levee out and built a bridge that goes over the wetlands. And then over the last few centuries, the wetlands have come back. It's now
decades. Years?
Decades.
Okay. Like centuries.
Yeah,
man.
Not centuries. No, I don't know when they redid it, but I think it was 1870
Damn.
when it became a park, somewhere around there. So, anyways, decades is what I meant.
Okay.
It took decades for it to come back to being a wetlands, but we have figured out a way to continue transportation through or around that area without damaging a wetlands, which was a wilderness area.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think that if you can't have transportation in there, then you shouldn't go in there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have it be something that should be a wetlands or a wilderness area.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is no person wants to go hiking in a wetlands area either.
Yep.
And so it's really a wilderness area should be like no man's land. You're not really going to go in there at all.
That would be my,
it's not
if you want to make something a completely wild area and have it be wilderness, in my opinion, nobody should be allowed in there.
Right.
Because I think the problem is people. I don't think the problem is necessarily recreation based or a certain sect of recreation.
Yeah.
There are definitely, like, a wetlands is a bad place for motorized recreation.
Yeah.
Meadows are bad places for motorized recreation, right? But like, if you're trying to create a wilderness area specifically, you got to lock it out to everybody. I agree. And maybe that would change people's minds as to how many wilderness areas we create. Maybe you think twice about creating a wilderness area, because if nobody gets to go there anymore because it's a wild and wilderness area, that may change some people's minds as to whether or not it's actually worth being called a wilderness and designated wilderness area.
I agree. I think it would. I think it would change a lot of people's minds.
Or maybe it turns into something like a limited recreation area instead.
Well, isn't desolation that already?
Kind of, yeah. But I think
desolation wilderness, you can only have so many people camping in a specific zone at a time.
Correct.
So
it's a limited recreation area, but it's also limited on recreation types. Sure. Whereas, like, I think a limited recreation area would have an evaluation done as to what is actually going to be destructive to the area. What types and forms of recreation? Like, is rock climbing destructive in desolation wilderness?
Some would argue drilling the holes and setting anchors would be destructive.
Destructive? I don't know about destructive. I don't know. There's riding a mountain bike or an e-bike or a vehicle in desolation, is that going to be destructive? I find it hard to believe. But the studies I don't think have been done to show that. So
I'm sure they haven't.
Anyways, fun topic about wilderness study areas, and another kind of a eye-opening thing going around right now that is just another legislation tool that's been used to lock up public lands from the public, in my opinion. So if we're going to lock up public lands from the public, it better be worth it. That's all I'm saying. And I think that a lot of these reasons are not fully worth it. So
true.
At least it's in the scale that they're locking up public lands. So I think there are definitely situations it is worth it, but it needs to be very limited, and we need to do studies to make sure that it actually is worth it, in my opinion. So, anyways, that's the last topic I had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good reminders, good updates, and good info on some new stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let's see. So we'll leave Blue Ribbon Coalition's link down in the show notes if you want to go over there and learn more about any of this stuff that we've talked about today. In addition, there will be, you can search the website for the Roadless Rule open comments that are going on. And then, if you want to get a hold of us and ask us any questions, you can find me over at SnailTrail4x4 on Instagram. Tyler's at 4x4 Toyota Tyler. Or you can phone in 916-345-4744 and leave your own comment. And we'll answer you whenever we get to it.
Yeah.
Probably in 2027.
Right. Perfect. I like it a lot. Thank you everybody so much for joining in. Thank you everybody for supporting the show. Go do those things with the monthly giveaways, the reviews. All of it goes back to helping the show survive and last into the future. And we get to keep doing cool stuff with you guys like the Wolf Box Group Buy. So go do it. All right. Jimmy, any final words for everybody out there?
I like your comment about how wilderness areas should be nobody in it. And I want to see how that affects everybody's view of wilderness areas.
I'd like to see if it changes some opinions. Yeah, for sure. And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
got one for you.
Okay.
It's sort of a one-liner.
Okay.
I heard that icy is the easiest word to spell. Looking at it now, I see why.
That's fair. Yeah.
Icy.
Yeah. You see why?
Mm-hmm. No.
I mean, I see why.
Yeah.
Not you see why.
Correct.
But you,
I see why.
Yeah. No. You see why. Not I see why.
Yeah.
You see. Okay.
Snail mail.
Jesus Christ.
It's a joke from Snail Mail if you guys didn't listen to the last Snail Mail episode.